Gaslighting an assassination. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Now, Barack Obama, I think he knows his party's in big trouble. He's not stupid. Look, they stand for nothing. They have no leader, and their approval numbers are in the sewer. And now, on top of all that, the public is connecting the dots about his party's vile rhetoric and how it's fueling rage-filled, violent, murderous responses. But rather than pull his party off the edge of the cliff with a course correction, Obama decided to gaslight the public about the assassination.
On both sides, undoubtedly, there are people who are extremists and who say things that are contrary to what I believe are America's core values. Those extreme views were not in my White House. I wasn't embracing them when we have the weight of the United States government behind extremist views. We've got a problem.
All right, yeah, you heard that. He's practically blaming Trump for the Kirk assassination. And he's still advancing the lie that 77 million Americans who voted for Trump hold extremist views. Plus, let's not forget the truly extremist moves his administration made, like using the intel community as he was on his way out the door to push a fake Russia collusion narrative in hopes of crippling the incoming President Trump. Yeah, that was pretty extremist, don't you think, Barack? Now, even for Obama, whose administration started us down this dark political road, those comments were appalling. More on this later. But he knows full well that for the past decade, the press and Democrats have encouraged everyone, including impressionable young people, to think that our country was being taken over by a would-be dictator with a fascist agenda. Trump supporters were tarred as extremists. He's still doing it. Domestic terrorists, MAGA fascists. The word fascist now echoes through every left-wing protest. Can't avoid it. Professors, columnists, senators, governors, congressmen, even judges feed this narrative with the language that they all knew would whip some people into an absolute frenzy. And boy, was Tyler Robinson one of them. Catch this fascist was engraved on one of the bullet casings we learned. Robinson got it in his head that Kirk was an irredeemable hater, and he had to be stopped.
Roommate, why? Robinson, why did I do it? Roommate, yeah. Robinson, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out.
Irredeemable. A week later, conservatives and kind-hearted Americans are still shocked and deeply saddened. I am one of them. But leftists, they're still celebrating. And we saw this in their posts, their videos. We watched them dance in jubilation over the murder of a fellow American. But there's no question, really think this through, there is no question that all of this is embarrassing to members of the press and politically damaging to the Democrat Party. So, again, instead of correcting things, they need to redirect the conversation. They need to deflect blame and then muddy the waters on established facts.
We don't have a motive yet. We don't know yet. We're waiting. Obviously, we've heard what the governor's had to say, what the FBI director said today.
Come on, we don't have a motive yet.
We know.
We don't have a motive yet.
What's
really?
happening with?
Really, that's CNN's position.
I mean, from law enforcement,
he just happened
Senator.
to fire the gun in celebration. You can't tell the motive.
Senator, that's not what I said, and I said law enforcement hasn't laid out a direct motive.
Meanwhile, in the real world,
The state is further alleging aggravating factors on counts 1 and 2 because the defendant is believed to have targeted Charlie Kirk based on Charlie Kirk's political expression. When asked why he did it, Robinson explained there is too much evil and the guy, referring to Charlie Kirk, spreads too much hate.
Pretty darn clear. Kirk believed in traditional Christian values, and Robinson believed that those were oppressive and that Charlie's growing influence had to be stopped by any means necessary. Yet liberal media personalities and so-called reporters in classic deflection mode are analyzing this as some type of coming-of-age story.
One of his texts said, when asked, how long have you been thinking about this? A week and a half. It wasn't, I've been thinking about this for the last year and a half. There are people who are trying to pigeonhole this as a leftist thing. We're talking about a love-torn child, a kid. This is probably his first real relationship, and somebody was disparaging the person that he loved. I don't believe he was motivated politically. I think this was motivated emotionally. He tried to defend his significant other, not trying to defend some ideology.
Thank you, Dr. Freud. This is pretty close to romanticizing an assassination. The same people who fueled the campaign to dehumanize MAGA are humanizing a killer and his trans boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever we're calling it these days. Now, this followed that ABC reporter doing the same. We played it last night when describing Robinson's text with his partner as touching in a way and an intimate portrait, noting that Robinson was calling him my love and wanting to protect him. Now, Gutman has since issued a statement condemning all political violence and tried to clarify his characterization. He said he regretted if his words weren't clear. Well, Democrats and their collaborators refuse to recognize the monsters they helped create. Just as they wanted you to not believe your own eyes about Biden's decline, remember, oh no, he's fine. You could see he wasn't fine. They want you to ignore the fact that liberal academics, students, and professionals were cheering on Charlie's death.
If you look across media generally, you have seen a lot of people trying to grapple with Charlie Kirk's legacy and what that is as a right-wing agitator and as a provocateur. To suggest that the internet is cheering for this is just the opposite, total opposite of what's actually happening.
But anyone on social media can see the opposite of what she just said is true. Gleeful posts celebrating Charlie Kirk's death are everywhere. And now law enforcement is widening its net. This is great news to radical pro-trans groups, not because they disagree with their political viewpoints. No, it's not a First Amendment issue. But they're trying to figure out if any of these groups helped, aided or abetted Robinson with the shooting or had prior knowledge. That's a crime. The probe includes groups in online gaming communities, including Steam, as well as a pro-trans organization called Armed Queers SLC, which took down its Instagram after Kirk was killed. The Armed Queers SLC founder said in an interview that, quote, sometimes violence must take place for tangible change. Clear enough for everybody at this point? If they don't get what they want, expect more violence. And they call Trump a fascist. But this is the world that the Democrats and the press created. They mainstreamed the fringe, they normalized the abnormal, and they villainized Trump and the tens of millions of hardworking Americans who love him. It's a stupid political strategy with deadly repercussions. And that's the angle.
Charlie Kirk was assassinated in front of thousands, and millions more saw it online. Even Charlie Sheen called it a turning point.
I think for this generation, I think that's their JFK moment. I mean, seriously. He didn't demean people. He didn't ridicule people. He didn't belittle or embarrass or gotcha. He showed up, you know, as prepared as you could have been, as passionate as you could have been.
So instead of demanding justice or honoring Kirk, the media is romanticizing the homicide.
I don't think I've ever experienced a press conference in which we've read text messages that are A, so fulsome, so robust, so apparently, allegedly self-incriminating, and yet on the other hand, so touching, right? With the suspect reaching out to his roommate, who is allegedly his boyfriend. He was trying to protect him. He kept calling him my love. My reason for doing this is to protect you, you know, but also asking him to delete the messages and not speak to law enforcement. So there's this heartbreaking duality that we're seeing very tragically playing out here.
It was a murder, not a tragic love story. That ABC reporter was forced to apologize. Kamala Harris's ex-boyfriend, Montel Williams, feels very passionate about the assassination. He thinks it's a poetic tale about two star-crossed lovers.
Love-torn child, a kid. This is probably his first real relationship, and somebody was disparaging the person that he loved. He sat on that building for 30 minutes before he took the shot. Why did he wait until the first word trans came up? Then he took the shot. I think this was a emotionally stunted person who literally, when I say it this way, just hear me, tried to defend his significant other, not trying to defend some ideology.
He killed Charlie Kirk out of true love to show his trans boyfriend he had a big heart. Can you believe this? They're basically saying, you can love so hard, you might have to kill. Then suddenly Obama comes out of nowhere and points his finger at Trump.
When I hear not just our current president, but his aides, who have a history of calling political opponents vermin, enemies, who need to be targeted, that speaks to a broader problem that we have right now.
Trump, Charlie, and Scalise have all been shot, and Obama and Kimmel are pointing fingers at us. Last night, after everything about this assassin came out, CNN still wouldn't admit why he did it.
We don't have a motive yet. We don't know yet. We're waiting. Obviously, we've heard what the governor's had to say, what the FBI director said today.
Come on, we don't have a motive yet.
We know.
We don't have a motive yet.
What's
really?
happening with?
Really, that's CNN's position.
I mean, from law enforcement,
he just happened
Senator.
to fire the gun in celebration.
I'm not arguing with you politically. I'm saying that law enforcement has not put a specific motive. You know that there's a difference of what they're putting in a legal argument than what you're talking about, and you're not even. We're not even arguing.
But first tonight, we do have major breaking news to bring you. ABC is pulling Jimmy Kimmel off the air indefinitely over his controversial comments about Charlie Kirk's assassination. ABC's decision came after Nexstar and soon to be announced Sinclair would be announcing that they would stop airing Kimmel's program. That's a big chunk of Kimmel's stations around the country. Earlier today, the FCC chairman, Brendan Carr, who will join us in a moment, threatened action against Disney and ABC over this comment that Kimmel made on Monday, labeling the alleged Charlie Kirk assassin as a MAGA. Take a look.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Not funny and fake news. Sadly, this was not the only vile comment about the Charlie Kirk assassination. On Monday night, Kimmel made this disgusting remark about President Trump's grief over the assassination. Take a look.
This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish, okay?
Now, remember, I have been calling out Jimmy Kimmel's reprehensible comments and dialogue for years now, you know, like this one that he made mocking the First Lady, who speaks 6 languages, Melania Trump, in 2018. You might recall. Take a look.
I want to really thank the First Lady, Melania, who has done an incredible job. She worked so hard on this event, and so I want to thank you.
Yeah. That's not a chance she did one thing to help set that up. There's no... She didn't die egg. She didn't feel bad. The only thing she's been working on is an escape tunnel. No White House Easter celebration would be complete without story time from our First Lady.
Never stop exploring, because life would be boring. Be clever and curious, just like a cat. Ask lots of questions about this and that.
About this and that.
Kimmel's recent vile remarks about Charlie Kirk's assassination, it should come as no surprise, given his lengthy history of mocking conservatives, Republicans, never-ending Trump bashing, which is why his ratings sucked. Take a look.
We definitely know who wins Time's Sexiest Alleged Murderer of the Year. That would go to Luigi Mangione, the suspect in the shooting of the CEO of United Healthcare, who's become the hottest cold-blooded killer in America. Let's be honest, it was a terrible night last night. It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go, for healthcare, for our climate, for science, for journalism, for justice, for free speech. It was a terrible night for poor people, And it was a terrible night for everyone who voted against him. And guess what? It was a bad night for everyone who voted for him, too. You just don't realize it yet. Tesla stock is way down, almost disastrously so. People have been vandalizing Tesla vehicles, new Tesla vehicles. Please don't vandalize. Don't ever vandalize Tesla vehicles. And so Elon Musk has been making the rounds in the right-wing media to try to appear to be a human being. Everyone gets all worked up. Here's the thing. Donald Trump will never die. Forget it. He's like Dracula. He's going to keep sucking the life out of us forever.
Now, President Trump, he did react to this news on Truth Social, writing in part, quote, "Great news for America. The ratings challenge. Jimmy Kimmel's show is canceled. Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what had to be done. Kimmel has zero talent and worse ratings than even Colbert, if that's possible." Now, the left already, starting with Humpty Dumpty, fake news, CNN, J.B. Pritzker, Gavin Newsom, predictably claiming this is conservative censorship. The MAGA crowd, Donald Trump got Jimmy Kimmel. That is false. I can't find a single prominent conservative voice in the country that even remotely wanted or hoped or was pushing to get Jimmy Kimmel taken off the air. Nobody. It just was simple. People changed the channel. They didn't watch him. Not one person can I think of. Maybe there's one, but I can't think of them. Now, truth be told, Jimmy Kimmel's show was failing spectacularly. I've seen the ratings. They're awful. His ratings are far below even that of Stephen Colbert, who was canceled. Now, why, you ask? This is supposed to be a late-night comedy show. It has become nothing more than nonstop, never-ending hate Donald Trump. That's the show. As a result, the ratings have been in the sewer. It has been spiraling downwards for years. And once the ratings go down, revenues go down as well. They go hand in hand. In other words, Jimmy Kimmel simply failed at his job. He lost his audience, then he lost revenue, and then stations, groups, they had enough after this comment, about a husband and father of two. They said enough's enough, low ratings, no money, what's the point? And that is the predictable outcome in television. There's no pressure group outside that was pushing for Jimmy Kimmel to be silenced. I'm sure he'll end up having a platform somewhere. He'll have a podcast. He'll be able to curse at everything. My understanding is most station groups were just fed up with his show. First, the TV group Nexstar, followed by the TV group Sinclair, telling Disney they don't want the show anymore. It's not working for them. They can't sell it. It's not getting ratings. And my understanding, it's going to be replaced with Steve Harvey's Celebrity Family Feud. Actually, is a good show and funny, much funnier than Kimmel. Given Kimmel's disastrous ratings, history of crass commentary, lack of any humor, chasing away more than half the country, vile attacks on people he disagrees with politically, is not a shock. He did this to himself. Nobody pushed. He jumped. And remember, this is Brendan Carr said to podcaster Betty Johnson today, quote, "What people don't understand is broadcasters are entirely different than people who use other forms of communication. They have a license granted by us at the FCC, and what comes with it is an obligation to operate in the public interest." From my perspective, it's frankly amazing his show lasted this long.
Canada. Oh, sorry.
Frankly, I'd prefer you chanting for me. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Some Democratic donors say that they're reluctant to give money to Biden's presidential library. Great. Now where am I going to masturbate, said one man. President Trump is in the UK, where he exchanged gifts with King Charles. Trump received a leather-bound book celebrating the Declaration of Independence, and in return, Trump gave him an updated crown. Tim Walz has announced that he'll seek a third term as Minnesota governor. Afterwards, Yeah, I know. Afterwards, you could hear the chants of 4 more years from local arsonists. Yeah. A Nevada state senator who police found passed out at a traffic light was arrested for suspicion of DUI. The cops stopped the Democrat before he did any major damage, like voting. Political. An MSNBC reporter who is considered a disinformation expert claims that no one on the internet is cheering about Charlie Kirk's assassination. Even more, on her dating profile, she describes herself as a 7. I know. Come on, lady. Meanwhile, on CNN, Montel Williams called Charlie Kirk's murder suspect a love-torn child who was in his first relationship. He then described Ted Bundy as a ladies' man with commitment issues. NASA claims its Mars rover has collected samples that show signs of biological activity, but they warn it isn't intelligent life, as some of the microbes were observed watching Fox and Friends. Next week, Kamala Harris will make an appearance on The View, and to prepare, they've already stocked the green room. And finally, prosecutors are seeking the death penalty for Kirk's alleged killer via firing squad. Yeah. You know, they say it's far more humane than the gas chamber, otherwise known as Jerry Nadler's office. Fart him to death. That's what I say. So even after a national tragedy, the media picks up right where they left off. They somehow found empathy for a coward who pulls the trigger on a husband and father from 200 yards away. Let's start with ABC's Matt Gutman. God, I hope he didn't find the killer's text very touching in a way that many of us didn't expect.
It was very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect. A very intimate portrait into this relationship between the suspect's roommate and the suspect himself, with him repeatedly calling his roommate who is transitioning, calling him my love, and I want to protect you, my love.
Actually, he never said that, but that's what Gutman claims, forgetting that he's covering a murder, not hosting an episode of The Bachelorette. But he couldn't stop there.
So it was this duality of someone who the attorney said not only jeopardized the life of Charlie Kirk and the crowd, but was doing it in front of children, which is one of the aggravating circumstances of this case. And on the other hand, he was, speaking so lovingly about his partner. So a very interesting and, as Pierre said, riveting press conference.
Dude, you're supposed to be reporting on a press conference, not reviewing a rom-com for Rotten Tomatoes. But I guess when someone kills someone because they disagree with them, it's important to look for their good qualities. True, no one ever talks about how bin Laden banged only the hottest goats. Oh. And you should see the letters Hitler wrote his mom. They had such cute nicknames for each other. But I get it, after smearing him as MAGA didn't work, make the story about star-crossed lovers instead of trans-mad ghouls. Over at CNN, Montel Williams chimed in.
People who are trying to pigeonhole this as a leftist thing and a right thing, and what we're really talking about, hear me because I'm going to throw you when I say this, we're talking about a love-torn child. I don't believe he was motivated politically. I think this was motivated emotionally. I think this was a emotionally stunted person who literally, when I say it this way, just hear me, tried to defend his significant other, not trying to defend some ideology.
Oh, so clever, huh? That may be Montel's worst judgment since he dated Kamala Harris. Now, Gutman has apologized, claiming he deeply regrets his words, but one clown went all in on ignoring reality and blames MAGA.
We had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
So MAGA is desperately trying to portray Kirk's killer as not one of them. If that man was any more full of shit, he'd be a colostomy bag. That was 2 days ago, so Kimmel had the chance to walk it back, but he can't. And why is that? Because to admit he was wrong on this calls into question his entire filter for interpreting reality. So it's better to live in denial, knowing the like-minded media won't press you on it. But we will. Hey, Disney shareholders, it may be time to thaw out Walt to put things right. No wonder your 5-year stock price looks like this. Bambi's mom has a brighter future. Then there's Matt Dowd, who got fired for saying Charlie Kirk had it coming. He found a new revenue stream. He's actually selling T-shirts with his quote on it. Who's going to buy that? I mean, besides the entire cast and crew of The View and Jimmy Kimmel. Not me. I have enough women yelling, "Take your shirt off." But this is who they are. They can't even let you have a moment of peace for the guy they murdered. In fact, a poll right after the arrest showed 41% of Dems believe the killer was a Republican, proving it's easy to lie to stupid people. That's how I convinced Don Lemon I'm a Nigerian prince. They literally can't conceive of their own side committing evil even after a murder broadcast live. And remember that old guy they thought had taken the shot? He screamed that he was the shooter to try and let the real one get away. You don't hear about him much, do you? Why is that? Well, after being hauled in, they busted this leftist on child porn charges. But I'm sure the media will find something redeemable about him. Sure, he's a perv, but he's great with pets. So the same media that spent years dehumanizing Trump and his supporters finally find their empathy. Surprise, it's for the shooter, creating a narrative that makes murder feel like heroic, if misguided, activism. Even though most of these people have likely never heard a single word Charlie ever said, it's a false narrative creation, like they did with Charlottesville when they claimed Trump praised Nazis. They knew it wasn't true, but they needed a story to protect their own irrational hatred of Trump, just like they need one now. So they paint Robinson as a tragic anti-hero instead of what he is, a murderous coward. In time, they hope the story will be rewritten. The hero becomes the villain, and the villain the hero. Makes you wonder how many other stories from history may be wrong. You want to bet all of them? Let's welcome tonight's guest. He's known for saying, "Turn your head and cough" in an elevator. Chief Patient Officer at the wellness company, Dr. Drew Pinsky. People say he's successful because he's good looking. They're right. Comedian Jeff Dye. Her wit is so dry, it makes fish beg for water. New York Times bestselling author and Fox News contributor, Kat Timm. And his groupies backstage are of an advanced age. New York Times bestselling author, comedian, former individual, Jeffy Dahmer. Drew, you're an internist. You're not a psychiatrist, but you've been around people who are screwed up.
Worked in a psych hospital for 35 years.
Wow, did you?
Yep. Huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that must be fun.
It is good times.
It really is.
You know, I was just thinking about that ABC reporter, speaking of screwed up, and they should have put the lower third there. Murderers are people too.
Yes.
That's Curtis Hawk. Thank you for that. Yeah. But, you know, the reality is this is a mass formation, right? Back to the psychological aspects of this. The Trump derangement itself is a mass hysteria. Mm-hmm. And 20% of the people are completely hypnotized by these things, and they've lost their way. It's so frustrating and confusing. I don't understand why reality doesn't percolate through. It just doesn't.
Don't you think it's because if you admit to something like this, then you have to question everything under, and then you're left with whatever's underneath that, which is like, I'm bad.
Well, but what usually goes is cognitive dissonance that protects them from that. But if it gets all the way through, yes, there's a deflation, but they have to kind of relook at their sense of reality. And hopefully that will happen with some people. I'm seeing evidence of that online a little bit. Some people are coming online rather than dancing on Charlie's grave, which is just unspeakable. The lack of moral sensibility is just wild. But some people are coming in and going, I've had enough. I see it differently now.
Jeff, you know, it is a fact that very, very awful people can have moments of tenderness. Even I sometimes cry. But Should the reporter feel that he has to note that, or Montel Williams has to note that? Is that their way of being clever?
I don't know what their goal was, but it wasn't the right week for it.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
I think that we need to have like a conversation about just violence in general. I think if you asked 100, if you showed 100 college kids a video of someone being punched in the face, all 100 would say, oh, that's terrible. And then you say, well, what if I told you that this person right before they were punched said a racial slur? 100 kids will go, well, then that's okay. Or what if I told you right before they were punched, they said something homophobic? Oh, then that's okay. We've lost sight of words and violence. And we're saying to ourselves, like, well, no, but some violence is okay and some things are okay. And we've really blurred what is okay in those things. I remember when Columbine happened, like the nation stood still. We were like, man, these school shootings, this is terrible. And then after a little while, it just became normal. You just would go, oh, school shootings, that's a thing now. And so you might not have liked this man. He was my friend, but you might not have liked him. But and you might think, oh, good, I'll post online that it's good that he died. But what if it's your guy? What if tomorrow Al Sharpton gets shot? What if Kamala Harris? What if Trump gets shot at again? What if Joe Rogan? What if it's me? So you don't want this to become a thing. And I'm sorry I'm not being real funny right now, but it breaks my heart that this is anything we're even debating.
Yeah. Well, it's okay not to be funny during times like these. Just don't make it a habit.
Don't look at my Twitter right now.
Yeah. Kat, you and I were talking about that. I was certain that Kimmel was going to like correct himself because it's like it was so blatantly wrong what he was saying. And now it looks like I have here in my notes, if you'll just hold on one second, the FCC chair, Brendan Carr, claims they might pursue remedies against Kimmel if ABC doesn't discipline him.
You missed the second part of what I think you were supposed to say there, or should have said there, which is that I said he wouldn't.
Yes.
Which meant that yesterday, which meant that I was right.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Where are the balloons?
Thank you. But I didn't want to be right because I shouldn't have been right. It's insane for me to have been right. You should have been right. He should have came out and said, because he went so hard saying, how could you look at these people saying that he's this when ha 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 to just act like that never happened. But of course, look, you have that happening, and then you also have the guy on ABC saying that, oh, these were touching. I mean, this stuff is just unbelievable. And just how, okay, I watch a lot of Dateline, as do you.
Yes.
And this was obviously an assassination, so it's very different than a lot of things we see on Dateline. But the one thing where it's the same, about 25% of the cases on Dateline, you get to see text messages between lovers, right? And about 100% of the cases where there's sex involved somewhere in the motive. Nowhere ever in those episodes of Dateline do you hear Keith Morrison be like, oh, it's kind of touching, you know? So yes, people who are evil, people who do evil things, sometimes get horny for people.
Yes.
Like, this is crazy. Yeah. Or they sometimes are capable of loving the people closest to them in whatever capacity. So you really should, and it's great that he apologized. That's a good thing. He should examine what made him feel differently about this, rather than, I'm sure, the millions of other text messages that were loving that he's seen, I'm sure, throughout his career, evil people send to people that they were having sex with.
Yeah. You know what I also think, though, Tyrus? I do think that there is a desire to stand out. Like Montel.
The hot take.
Yeah, Montel thought he was clever. That guy with the great hair, Gutman, great hair, by the way.
Great hair.
Yeah, and lousy name. Half right. But it was like, hot take. Yeah, I got this is going to blow people away.
Blow people's mind. It blew my mind that Montel was on a panel.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's... Who do we got to talk about this?
Yeah.
Montel Jordan.
It's Montel Williams.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's my point.
Montel Jordan.
Exactly. He probably would have answered it better. Look, another thing I have a problem with this is like he didn't read the same text messages that I read.
Yeah.
One person, the murderous bastard assassin, was saying all these things.
Right. Yeah.
The other guy was like, why did you do this?
Exactly.
Right.
What? Why? Now, I get it because I'm used to texting a woman. Right? So you get, when you do something you think your woman would appreciate or you'll get why or call me or, oh my, like, I can't believe you did it. It was so wrong, but you did it for love. None of that was coming from the other side.
No.
That was about as a dude text back as you get. What?
Yeah.
Why did you do this?
So there was no love there. Maybe in the fantasy of this sicko, there was something there, but the other person clearly, which then deflates their whole argument.
Yeah.
Because he supposedly did it for his trans partner, but the partner was not being a partner. They're like, why did you do it? And it was very monotone. So I can relate to that because last week it was a tough week.
Yeah.
And I decided that I was breaking my diet and I wanted to get a banana split.
Oh, yeah.
So I went down across the street and I got a banana split and I texted my wife and I said I was having a bad day and I had a banana split. And she went, no, I can't believe you did this without me. This is ridiculous. And I'm like, you don't eat dairy.
Yeah. That should be on a shirt. You don't eat dairy.
But she still yelled at me anyways because I went there because her feelings were involved.
Yes.
Yeah. The person on the other side had no feelings
like, what are
at
you
all.
doing?
That's what I saw.
If anything, was disgusted and was trying to get off the phone with him as fast as they could.
And the perpetrator was expressing such cold-bloodedness. They're looking so hard for some sort of positive in that texting. They're missing the fact that he was worried about where he put the gun.
His grandfather's.
It's cold-blooded, no concern for what he had just done. And then you're seeing the partner going like,
hey,
well,
I don't think it was a partner. I think he might have had delusions of fantasy and grandeur, which is clear. And the other person was like, whoa, no, I don't want any part of this. That's what I got from it. So I didn't see any connect of touching or heartfelt anything. I just saw a sicko sending texts.
Yeah, but again, to the media, they're going to create some story so they can sell it to Netflix.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.